focus of this book too, which is big love?
Well, learning to live with God in your heart as big love. So he loves all his friends. Um, and but love, love is patient. So how did he learn patience? Love is kind. Um, and so I think, let me get to the end. Um, okay, wait a minute. So, um, oh, the last chapter. I figured out my heart has a door. I can close my heart up tight and just think about me, me, me. But my knower is telling me that's just not right. But I can make a big love choice and open my heart wide to let God's kind of love flow out. That's what big love life is all about. And so on the last page, there's all the kids with big love in their heart. He said, I'm thinking we can all do that. See how this life is always about big love. Big love life is really different, really good. Would you like to join me in showing others God's big love? So,
I love it.
the simplicity of that.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you that when I read the first book with Kyrie, my granddaughter, and Willow, it was like they could understand these concepts, and it gave me an opportunity to talk about God in a different way that wasn't boring and wasn't difficult for them to understand. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And I think that this new book, by the way, this is the first edition of a new imprint that I've launched. So Mary Alice and I are kind of partnering on this new imprint. She is the first that will be coming on board for the Legacy and Light imprint. And so this book, while it was created and funded by her, originally, is now going to be coming under our this new imprint, and then I'm going to be managing it moving forward, along with any new books that come. And Mary Alice is saying, thank God I've got all this off and I can just focus on the writing. So you guys will be hearing more about open submissions for probably in Q2, toward the latter part of Q2, the latter part of Q2. So maybe around June-ish, I'm going to open up and I'm going to accept submissions. My hope is to publish 2 more books this year under that imprint, and they will be traditionally published. So I think that Mary Alice and I are working on one together for book 3, and I will work through that with her. And then we're going to be opening up submissions for others. And there's going to be a lot more things coming. So that's going to be a fun way to really focus on faith and inspiration and things that just doesn't necessarily have to be Christian stories, but inspirational, building legacy, helping, those kinds of things that have the potential to really make the world a better place is kind of what I see for that Legacy and Light publishing. So that's going to be really fun. So I'm going to open it up for questions for Mary Alice. Does anybody have anything you'd like to ask? Feel free to take yourself off of mute or post your question in the chat.
Of course, Mary Alice, when you said, love is patient, love is kind, my song's going through my head when you start doing that one. But thank you. I'll look forward to getting, well, both, all 3, but for my grandkids, because I've always loved your energy when we're in these meetings. So I'm glad that you are able to get this done, and the book, both sound fabulous.
Yeah. And I think it's, the title of it is a perfect addition for Valentine's Day. So big love is kind of, and it's made, that cover is just gorgeous. The cover design was done by Holly on my team. And it's got a beautiful message. Yeah, so we've got lots of things coming for that. And we'll post a link, maybe Mary Alice, we can post a link into the chat for people that want to take a look at the book and potentially pick it up, because it actually released on Tuesday. So we're only one day in, and love to have you check out the print book for Valentine's Day, or grab the 99-cent ebook. It's still 99 cents. And we would love to gather some more reviews for the book. So we really appreciate that if you can. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mary Alice. I appreciate it very much.
Mary pleasure.
Alice, I just want to say that I've read your book. I've already reviewed it, and it was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? There's one thing keeps coming to my heart. I just want to share a review I got on the first book. And it was a full-page review. He only gave me 4 stars, but I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He spoke from the fact that he read the book, God, I Want to Know You, to his 4-year-old. And the thing that impressed his 4-year-old the most was that God was close and nearby and accessible. For a child to know that, look what they face in the world.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll be gone.
Love it. No worries. I'll remove the spotlight there. I do have a couple of other questions that are here in the chat. So we'll start there. And if you have something you'd like to have some specific help with, feel free to do a raise hand at the bottom. You can do a raise hand and it'll bounce you up. But I'll start going through here. So Cheryl Bass mentions she got an email from KDP that after 2 years of allowing her books to be in a medieval category, they're saying that they're not valid for her books. So, that can happen if people report something, they tattle and say, oh, this shouldn't be in this category. Or if for some reason they've got like their new AI algorithm starts searching for people going in the wrong places, and for some reason they think that your book no longer belongs. So your question to me is, can you help me find some categories or change the categories? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The books can take place in medieval times, and they're all wearing medieval garb and everything in the illustrations. They suddenly decided it's no longer valid. So yeah, if you could help me change the categories.
So I think that with regard to the medieval, when I look back at it, part of that category, that kind of path that the category goes in, even though it said medieval, it said there was a historical thrown in there. So I think that part of it is what they were objecting about, is the historical part. So what I'll do is we'll kind of pin that, working through putting the new categories together. I'm going to just put it in as a to do. So after my 8 to 9 o'clock, I have my open hours for my mastermind and folks like Cheryl, who I work with regularly, and I will do some hands-on updates. So we'll update your categories at the 9 o'clock hour, Cheryl, just so we can, unless we run out of questions earlier than that. So we'll Cheryl category updates. So we'll add that to the list here. Jason's asking, what's your time and place in the medieval period? Does your children's book take place, Cheryl?
It doesn't have a specific time, but it's generally like a Viking, Western European Viking kind. It's a children's picture book with a dragon, but the people are all wearing Viking clothes and that sort of thing. And there's Viking runes around and things like that. So I don't know, I'm guessing what, 1500s, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I see Margaret mentioned that there's an email that came from KDP that talks about having a change and no longer accepting Mobi files. So they're saying that they're now only going to, as of, I think it's March, they're no longer going to be accepting Mobi files for ebooks. So in order to, and her question was, how do I stay compliant? So if you've already got an ebook out and it's up there with a Mobi file, don't worry, they've converted it. So it's fine the way it is. They just won't accept new submissions. When you create a new book, you'll need to make sure. The good news is that Amazon does have a downloadable software called Kindle Create, and you can upload your files and it will create a KPF file that you can use as the ebook for uploading to KDP. So that is one option. The other option is an EPUB file. So either of those formats will be accepted. The one thing I really dislike about the KPF files is that they're very big and bulky. So I'm hoping that with, some tweaking, that we can get to some reasonably sized files with the Kindle Create. I would say if you're going to use that software, just make sure that the file that you're uploading, the interior file or whatever you're uploading, is a low res version. That way it's not going to be as bulky. And then you'll be able to use the KPF files in moving forward. And if you're like me and you don't format your own, you use a designer, then the designers are pretty plugged in with exactly how to do just that. And you'll be able to get the low res files. And I usually I would get the KPF file for Amazon, and I would get the EPUB file so that when you go wide and do Google Books or Apple Books and others, you'll have an EPUB format that you can also use to go wide with. So hopefully that answers your question, Margaret.
Yes, thank you. Well, Brace did mine, so I guess I'm good for now, right?
Yes, you're fine for now. And there is an EPUB file there as well. So when you're ready, if you needed to do an update, you do have the EPUB file that would work fine.
Oh, okay, perfect. Do you know what's going on with Brace? I'm still waiting for her. Is she okay or is she away? Because I'm still waiting for her revisions to be done.
Okay. Yeah. Let's message her and see if we can. So you haven't received any kind of date as to when that?
I keep getting it from her virtual assistant saying she will get back to you by yesterday or by a week ago. And then, I don't know if maybe she was on vacation or so. I don't know.
Okay, let me see what I can do to.
Okay, that'd be great.
If I can prompt her to move that stuff forward. She does have the good news is she's hired a full-time designer that works with her in the office every day, and she has a full-time assistant now. So we're talking about my designer, my primary go-to designer that many of my authors have worked with, Praise Saffler. So I think part of what she's doing now is a lot of time spent with the new people and making sure that they are coming up to speed as well. So, and I think she's wrapping up some of the things that are due pretty quickly, and one of them is mine. So I'm finalizing my workbook for my author group that's starting next week. So I'm making her work a lot on that, trying to finalize that. So
okay. Glad she's okay though. Thanks, April. That really helped.
No worries.
Thank you.
So let me see. I have a question from Starla. How do you make your ebook 99 cents for Amazon pre-order? Is it the file size? So yes and no. You can set your book on pre-order, and one of the ways that you can make sure that it stays at 99 cents is to create a pre-order for your ebook, but say no to uploading files. So in other words, just a shell with your title, your subtitle, your cover file only, but don't upload the interior file. And you can launch a pre-order of your ebook that way, fill out the keywords, the description, and everything that you need, and say no to interior file upload, move it to pricing. And when you go to pricing, you'll be able to create a price of 99 cents. And that's even if later the file is too big, then it might require you to go up higher. But you'll want to make sure that your royalty percentage is at 35% instead of 70. And that's what allows you to do the 99 cents. Now, once you move forward and you upload a file later, because it gives you a certain time period based on when your book is going to go from pre-order to live, it'll tell you when you must upload your interior files by. So if your interior file is small enough, I think it's 5 megs or under, I could be wrong. But if it is within a certain size, then it will allow you to keep it at 99 cents. But if it's too large, it may say your minimum charge would be $2.99 or $3.99. So especially that's what I worry about with these KPF files. But you can do the pre-order and have your launch team pre-ordering your book at 99 cents without ever having any files uploaded. And I would definitely start it that way. Starla, any questions more on that? Okay. So her follow-up question is, how do I make it small enough? So what we do, my designer does anyway, is she does use the low-res version of the book in order to create the ebook. So we get the smallest size we can, and we make sure that the images you're not using print images, print quality, heavy images. So that's what people that create ebooks that know what they're doing are very good at doing that. And if you need somebody, if you need a reference, I am happy to share a contact with you that you can reach out to help create that ebook in the size that you need. I'll pull it up. His name is Amit, is the person that I use, Amit Day. And he does a great job and turns things around pretty quickly. And now with all of the changes that are coming with, how Amazon wants different things to be tweaked, he should be able to provide you with a decent size file. So I'm going to go ahead and post it here. His email address, Amit Day. So if anybody is interested in checking out, or just tell them that April sent you, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of extra something out of it, like maybe a little bit better quality, or not quality, I should say priority, so that he can make sure it turns things around real quickly and does for you the same kind of stuff that he does for us. All right. Let's see. Just checking quickly online here. See if I've got any posting. Okay. All right, Pat, I see you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Does Amit Day do more than just create low-res files for ebooks?
Yeah, he does. He's got a team that does work on other things. For example, I've got a few authors that have done websites with him. And he also has a design team that could do other things. I haven't really tested him much in that area. And there's a little bit more back and forth with regard to more complex things like the websites and stuff than I would like. So he's not my number one person to go to when it comes to websites and things like that. But yeah, he does have a team of others, and he can do other things as well.
So he's really your go-to guy for taking an ebook, the file, and compressing it so it would be a low res. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Perfect. Debbie, you had a question. Do I need a special file for printers? Can you just expand on that? Just let me know what you mean. Are you just talking about doing like an offset print?
Yes.
Okay.
An offset print with Genevieve. Is that Genevieve?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Whenever you're going to move forward with an offset print, there's a couple of considerations. First of all, they allow more than just the sizes that print on demand has. So if you wanted, for example, if you created a 10 by 10 version of your book for offset print, then you could have that done. But you wouldn't be able to use a 10 by 10 for your print on demand. So a lot of times I'll recommend my authors get their illustrations in the 10 by 10 size, so that if they wanted to do an offset with a nice bigger size print, that they could. So with regard to what kind of files that the printers need, every printer is different. And the individual I know you're working with, Jenna Beth, is from Jostens. And so she has a particular template that she's provided to my designer and to your designer. So Praise knows the file format that is needed for them. But if you're working with a different designer, you just need to make sure that you reach out to the printer and ask for a template or for printer specs about exactly what they need, because it is oftentimes just a little bit different than what you're going to use for your print on demand files. And you want to just make sure you're providing things in the format that the printer needs.
Okay, I requested that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Karen says, can I share my new illustration and get some feedback? Sure, go ahead. Are you still there, Karen? You want to share and do a little bit of show and tell? We're happy to give you a little bit of feedback.
Sure, let me pull it up. Oops, wrong button. I think I go. Illustrations, here we go. I think that's it.
While you're pulling that up, I'm just going to answer this question. Mrs. No says, please confirm the max number of categories that you can have on Amazon. So it's only 3 categories. They used to allow us to do up to 10. You could request additional categories, but that's no longer available to us now. So we have to utilize the 3 categories that they give us. And if you want the very best opportunity to pick the categories that are going to perform well for you, then I highly recommend getting Publisher Rocket. It's a great tool. And when we get into the next hour, I'll do a little bit of a demonstration of that if you want to hang out with us. And we'll actually help Cheryl choose her categories. All right, go ahead. And so you're sharing your screen now. Let me just make sure. Okay, I see.
You can see it. So I had Pran do an illustration and a revision, and then we changed it to a different illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is my illustrator for my current book, The Worn Out Flag.
Yep.
And you said it was still too busy. I asked my son's opinion. He said, meh, he wasn't that thrilled with it.
Yeah, I think it's just there's a lot going on and it's very hard. I mean, I think it's going to make a beautiful, gorgeous spread within your book. I would like to have seen a little bit more of the boys' faces. I see only one,
Right.
but there's a lot of people and a lot of stuff going on. So I imagine it can be quite amazing, but I don't think it needs to be quite so stuffed with people.
So what do you suggest? So take out, I liked having a lot of people, but not having to have their faces. But I do not think it will work for a cover.
For a cover, I don't think so either, but it will look nice for your for a 2-page spread. Do you want to share some of the other ones that you received?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can find them. Do you have them that you could share them?
I would have to dig as well.
Okay. Let me just say a couple things on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I need her to somehow turn his face. And then I was thinking, these guys look like they're wearing fatigues or sweats, and I want them in their dress blues and stuff. But
Yeah.
Can you tell me any other suggestions that I should tell her?
Karen, This is Victoria.
Oh.
You have the big blank in front of the guys in the fatigues, as you call them. And if maybe, yes, there. And if you could turn, the boy's head would turn if he saw something maybe there in that corner. And yeah, it's busy, but think about all the parades you've been to. I know my Alameda parade. We're all sitting on the corners of where we live, and it's pretty busy. I mean, it's a lot. And so
Yeah.
it does kind of reflect but maybe if you put something in that space that's empty, maybe those guys can move forward,
That's a
they
good
move-
idea. I like
and
that.
then the boys' face would be turned, both of them would be turned, and you'd see both of them.
Yeah.
I like that idea. That's not a bad idea at all.
Although he wouldn't be pointing that way, he might be pointing
Right,
this
he
way.
could be pointing towards the front of the line there.
Right. Okay.
Maybe he's talking about what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. Now the other one, let me see if I can find
So
it.
this is in the rough sketching phase, so it gives you an idea of what the illustrator is thinking. So as we work with illustrators, this is a perfect time to start to include any feedback and ask them to tweak things. So this is exactly the right thing to be doing, Karen, is getting the feedback and working back and forth with multiple illustrators till you find somebody that is the perfect fit for your project.
I
And I
thought
just have
goofy. Huh?
where would the text be going? Is it going to be text on this page? Where would
Oh,
it
yeah,
go?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's something. Maybe we could put text, take out some of these trees and put text up here.
Well, it's either that or you could do, kind of the bottom left could really be saved for some text.
So chop off their feet and
No, well, and even some of the crowd over there so that we don't necessarily have to have some of that crowd in the front there.
so this area.
Might be,
Well, then that would not work as far as him turning his head too much, but
yeah. But if you pulled everything forward, then you could have the top right and you could clear that out with some empty space. But it is important, and that's a great point. Thank you, Victoria, for bringing that up, that you really, when you're working with an illustrator and you start getting these sketches, it's ends up being kind of an afterthought sometimes as to where to put the text. And we really want them to save room and even have an understanding of what text is going to go on that page. So we make sure that they leave enough room and so that it fits nicely. And it's not just, usually you see like a white cloud with the text on it because the illustrator didn't leave any space. So the designer has to do something to kind of clear out some space. And it just doesn't look, it looks like an afterthought instead of fitting nicely into your story.
I wondered if, because I'm not doing this as the cover, is it fine to leave it where we don't see his face?
You
And
could.
he is looking that, since it's an inside, because we'll see his face and other things, or am I naive or something?
No, you can leave it that way. It's not a problem.
Okay, let me try and find that other illustration. Let's see, I guess I would close this.
Yep.
And then.
Yeah, while you pull up some others, I'll answer another question here. Leslie says, what do I need to do to have my book go wide? Leslie, that's a great question. So what we usually do when we first launch a book, and I do recommend with my authors to go and do the exclusive for the first 90 days with Amazon, take advantage of those extra 5 days you get, the Kindle Unlimited, and it really helps you get some extra eyeballs on your book when you're launching. So what I would recommend is going in and unchecking the auto renewal for the KDP Select. That's something we do right in KDP. We'll uncheck and then it'll tell you when your exclusivity ends. And once that ends, then you can go in and you can start uploading your ebook to either something, an aggregator like Draft to Digital, or Publish Drive is another one that I've just started playing around with that does a lot. And you upload everything in one place, and then the aggregator pushes it out to all of the different places that your ebook can live.
Okay.
And point, it's up to you to then start building readership in some of those other locations.
Because not much is happening on Amazon, so that's why I want to. But is it 3 months each time it auto renews? Because I
Yeah.
launched it in August, so it's for October.
Yeah, so you can take a look
Okay.
at it. When you go
I
on
will.
KDP, it'll show the date.
Okay.
And it defaults to auto checking it off that it'll just keep renewing for 90
Right.
more days. But if you uncheck that, then it will stop. And if you get back to them and say, I would like you to remove it from KDP Select because, you know, I thought I unchecked it, but I didn't or something, they'll take it out for you, even if it's kind of off the cycle that they would normally suggest. Usually it's like when it goes in, it's only, you know, a week in or something, they can usually pull it out.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, I shared this other picture. Can you all see it?
Yes.
And I thought it was too sparse.
Mhm.
She does have them in more, you know, this part's all right, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you like one better than the other?
Angle of being able to see the boys that way. When you
you
say
do like-
too sparse, do you mean the crowd, just not enough crowd? Because that's
Yeah,
it's easy to correct and add more.
yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, I think when this gets colored in, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous.
Well, I told her to put it on hold at this point, but maybe I didn't think that Olha was going to give me an illustration until March. So I
Yeah.
was surprised. This would allow for more more space for words, I guess. I mean, we could take out
Mm-hmm.
this area up here. Can you see where my mouse is moving around?
Yeah, you could make the buildings, you know, smaller so that they're not really tall. And you can even, you know, the words could go on the left side and just get rid of that one strand across the top of,
This part up here?
yeah. So you have you'd have room for some text over there.
Yeah, that'd be better even.
Yeah.
So can the other people, can they give me their
So
their
anybody,
vote? Do you like A or B better?
Would it be all right if I said something?
Sure.
please do.
Okay. I like the layout of this composition. I can't really talk that well. I'm sorry, because I damaged my neck earlier and I'm having trouble speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I like the layout of this because the fact that you have a whole lot of people on the left side, and as you say, it's very busy, but it's balanced out by the small crowd and the tall buildings. And the people seem to be on the bottom left, and the buildings are mostly on the top right. So it almost gives a nice, clean, diagonal line
I see
across
that.
across the picture.
Do you think there should be more viewers of the parade?
No, because then it kind of makes like this stripe of people across the bottom, and it sort of makes it look disproportionate.
Okay.
I think you got it right just as it is.
So Margaret's asking who's the illustrator. So this is Prayin. The other one, what was the name of the previous illustrator of the other one you showed us, Karen?
Olha, Olha, and she did my original book.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to admit, you know, part of this is being cheap or frugal. So I already paid both, but then to get this one colored, I have to pay more money. And I didn't know if I liked it well enough to do that, but maybe, I don't know. So how many like Olha's and how many like this one better?
This is Nia. And looking at this one, I would agree. This one has a lot more energy because you're seeing the parade kind of come from the left. So I definitely like this one better. The other picture I thought was really good as well. Maybe you can use it as a back piece or like the back of the book, or I wouldn't throw it away exactly because it is a good composition, but maybe you can leverage it someplace else.
Well, I'm trying to decide which illustrator to go with.
Yeah, so
Oh, I
so
see.
yeah, so Karen has followed my advice and is seeking out samples and paying for sample illustrations from multiple illustrators, and then using that to select which illustrator to go with based on how well they do with the sample request. So
maybe I
this is-
should pay the extra money and have them
I
color
think
it in.
so, yeah. But if they're going to color, if you're going to pay extra to color, are you not coloring the first one that Prayan gave you?
Right.
No.
Okay.
So I paid $150 to Fran plus
Yep.
tax. So
Mhm.
she did the one illustration, she revised it, and then we said, let's get a different illustrator to do it, and that's this one.
Okay.
And
So,
so since she's had two illustrators, I guess that's why she's going to charge me extra 80
okay.
to color.
Okay.
They're pretty close. Maybe it can be a coloring sheet. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could use it, but I wouldn't necessarily do that if the illustrator doesn't get assigned to the project. I would probably put it aside. So Debbie says she likes Prayan. Cheryl says Prayan. And I definitely know how easy it is to work with Prayan and how quickly they turn things around. What was your experience working with the first illustrator on the first version of the first book you did, Karen?
I thought it was very good. And I actually started with her before I started with you and knowing you.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So, and I got her through Reedsy. So
Mhm.
she is more expensive.
Mhm.
But I liked her watercolor. So it sounds like more people are liking this one than the other.
Yeah, at least the ones that are here. The most important person is going to be you, obviously, and how you feel about it, and how you feel about working with the illustrator and how well they accommodate your requests, how quickly they're able to respond to them. But I think in order to really be able to choose, you may need to have them colored and then compare the colored versions, because what your first illustrator does is very unique treatment of the color. And so you'll want to compare a completed colored version of each one and then make the choice, I think.
Okay. I'm kind of getting the idea that people are thinking this is more crisp. Is that it?
I think it's just the way that it's structured. I think it does have more emotions. It's really focusing on the soldiers and the veterans and that's what your story is all about as well.
Right.
Yeah, so it really highlights the things that are important.
Okay. Well, then I guess I should go ahead and add. I already told Prayan, wait, and I told her, I think I'm going to go with the other one, but let's wait. And so I'm going back and forth with Prayan. So hopefully they'll be patient with me.
Yeah, they are. They're wonderful. If you need my help with it, let me know. They do a lot of work and they have a lot of artists. So, plenty of opportunity to find just the right person to help you.
Okay. I have one other question and then I have to leave because I have my Bible study, but does Ingram Spark and KDP send end of the year tax stuff?
There are tax documents, although I think if I'm remembering correctly, Ingram Spark does not do it, but Amazon does. And I think it might depend on if you make more than a certain amount. So we'll start to see some of those tax documents come out together. Go ahead, Pat. Do you have an answer for that?
Yes, I just went on to my KDP account and pulled the I guess 1099, whatever you want to call it.
Okay,
so I
good.
did that yesterday. So I don't think they mail it to you. I believe you have to go online to get
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Leslie said the same thing. She just got an email saying that it was there and that they can that it can be downloaded.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I wondered, if they were going to mail it to me or not.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for giving me your input on the
You're welcome.
pictures.
The other places you'll start getting notices about 1099s as well would be, like, I just got one from Stripe. I know that PayPal has some, and and Square. I deal with all of those for payment processors. So they're sending me the paperwork of how much I've made. And then if you if you have paid for services from others within the US, then you may have some obligations to report that, a 1099 for them. So it might be something to look into, because the 1099s need to be finished by the end of January. So just something to think about. Excuse me.
Thank you.
All right. So any other questions we have here? I think I got everything. Right. If we don't have any other questions, I'll jump right into starting to work on categories for Cheryl.
I'll just ask a question after you work with Cheryl. This is
No, go
Victoria.
ahead, because it's going to take a little while. We only have 10 more minutes for this session, and then I'll close down my live feed, and then we'll work on the stuff for Cheryl.
Okay, so last time you and I saw each other about a video that I have in my Amazon ads, you suggested that in the pictures that I had, instead of rehashing what the book says, you wanted me to go a little different. And I told Amy, who did the video, that I needed to talk to you first before I wanted to make sure that I was on the right track with what you were thinking, and to refresh your mind of what it was. The first picture was Tuxedo Baby, who's a little penguin. And his colony is like behind him. And he's lonely because you get this idea, it's not said, it's undertone, that the oil spill. So his parents are gone. But it's just an undertone. So no one sees that or written. It's only at the very end of the book I talk about nonfiction facts about the oil spills. Anyway, and so he gets adopted by these Ponyer parrots, who come and fly, and of course the colony is readily wanting to give little Tuxedo Baby to him. So I wrote for that first picture instead, meet Tuxedo Baby, who has a big heart and learns belonging doesn't come from being the same, it comes from love.
I love that.
Perfect. Second picture. Second picture.
But that's a lot of words, though.
Yeah, she might not like all those words, huh?
Well, I think that part of the problem that happens with putting a video script together is we have the perfect words, but there's so many of them that people have to read a lot of text when they're trying to also look at the visuals. So if she can scroll it out where it comes a little at a time, so that people can see some of it, and then the words scroll a little bit more instead of putting all the text on at once, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Know what I
In
mean?
my videos, I use AI to speak the text. So you can read it and hear it. You can do that in Canva. There's some other ones that I use.
Say that again, Debbie. I'm gonna bring you.
When I do my videos, it'll have the words text out, but then I also have AI read it. So you can read it or hear it. Well, you do both, but
Yeah, so this is more of like, this is a video trailer that we're creating. And so we're kind of re-envisioning the trailer to make sure that it doesn't just tell the story, but it tells what's special about the book. So it kind of, you show a picture, you show some and add some text, and then it scrolls away, and then another picture and a little bit of text. At the end, it's showing the book cover and encouraging them to go and buy the book, that kind of thing. So one of the mistakes that I've seen people make is just way too much text, and it goes by so fast that it's like, I didn't get to read it all at a pace that was comfortable. So just make sure, I think, Victoria, if you're able to do that and read it at a pace that's comfortable, then I think you'll be good to go.
Okay. In the second picture, Tuxedo Baby now is, he's been at school with birds, conure parrots. Of course, penguins don't fly. And he wants to fly. And of course, he has a friend that says, oh, no problem. And of course, the whole idea is that you put on a Halloween costume and you have wings, and then you know how that goes. And part of it is that you get to the highest part, and he finds his mother's, dresser. And anyway, gravity happens. And so then at that scene, the next scene is mom holding him in her big chair, and he has a big bandage across his forehead. And this is what we're saying. Though he wishes he could fly, Tuxedo Baby learns sometimes being yourself can be the greatest achievement of all.
I like that. I like that.
And I can break down the words. I can break that down. Last picture, okay, is both parents have already told him that he's going to have a sister. And they weren't sure because, he's adopted, how he would react. Of course, he's just ecstatic. He just can't wait to share with everything he's learned, everything he's done with his little sister. So he's sitting in the middle of them. They're reading the newspaper at the end. And I just wrote, this heartwarming story celebrates the beauty of differences and the joy of finding his place in his new family.
I love it. I think it's beautiful. And it really does now change the point of view. It's not just telling the story, although we get enough information about the story that we know that it's valuable, and we see the beautiful illustrations you have. And so with all of that together, I think that this could be a real winning
I'll
video.
let you know it's a go. And she did say, that normally after 6 months, and actually was more than 6 months, they kind of discard the video. And she said, oh, we have it. And so she said it shouldn't be that big of a deal to change cost wise. So
yeah. And it doesn't, and I think these video trailers don't necessarily have to be like highly animated or anything like that. It can be just a showing of the image and a showing of the text. So I think that's more than enough, and it's going to be more effective for your ads as well.
All right, thank you.
Good, great. Okay. Leslie, did you have anything that you wanted to get answered before you have to drop?
There's so many things right now, to wrap up my book. So I think it's more a meeting with you, even though I'm just trying to think on the top.
Would 5:30 tomorrow work for you, Leslie?
That's fine.
To get together one-on-one?
That's fine.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just do that because my brain is here, there, and everywhere right now. But
so your book is ready to start uploading and getting ready. Did you want to just tell a little bit about the story?
Sure. It's the sequel, the second book of the Sea Glass Kids, but it's the Sea Glass Kids Ocean Pollution Solutions. And the first one ended with the kids not giving up, even though all the adults are ignoring them, about helping to pick up trash in the oceans and whatever. And actually, this one I love this one because they come up with solutions. They have their booth and they have the stuff piled high, and they have people who want to sign up, and you have one guy that says, what's the big deal? But they meet a few days later, and they get adults and kids ideas of how they can address the problem. And they come up with ideas of going to the restaurants and asking them not to use straws. Or only use them if people ask for them, and asking for more trash cans around town, and making a sign painting, which I got from another book, painting a warning sign around storm drains. Please don't dump your trash down here. It ends up in the ocean, and things like that. So, and then my Holly is fabulous because she took all the vignettes that Prayan had done, but she added more words and stuff, and she was like, is that okay? I'm like, it's fabulous because what she added. So it's not quite ready to be uploaded totally because I have to finish the glossary and a few items like that. Actual question for people, because the glossary for my first book, Sea Glass Kids, Ocean Problems in the Ocean, there's a lot of the same glossary words that I'm going to use. And I think that's okay because some people might not have read the first book.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And all of a sudden it occurred to me, like, why am I overthinking this? You know, because I can add in a couple. Um, and I'm really excited because Washed Out to Sea, which was one of my first, well, second book that I did, Lucas the beluga whale comes back with Jake, and you know, so it's, I don't know, it's a passion. I live at the ocean, I work at the aquarium, and without being lecturing, but at the same time having people come out and kids come up with the ideas, you know, so
Love that.
so that's where I am with it. I've got to finish up things when we work tomorrow, the
Mhm.
CIP block and things like that, just to make sure, because I've been on like almost a 2-month hiatus. I needed a break. But now I'm moving forward again, which is
I love
good.
it. Perfect.
But
Awesome.
anyway, so yes, there'll be more coming, probably launch in March, but obviously this group I'll keep.
Yeah. So
Well
if you're
aware.
if you've got people here that are with us today that really are passionate about this topic and want to support you, if you want to put your email address in here, maybe or let them know how they can get in touch with you, that would be wonderful. We can continue to grow our networks as we meet together in these Q&A sessions and mastermind sessions.
I'm going to put in my personal, I have my business one too, but this one, I think this I can get to quicker. So, and my granddaughter, one of them, who's my budding marine biologist, said, Grandma, why don't you have on your website, in your book, on your website where people can send ideas to you, more ideas on how to save the
Oh,
oceans and how to, so I
wow.
thought, Kelsey, out of the mouth of an 11-year-old, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So I'm looking, but yeah, I feel good because I'm finally ready to move forward again. Sort of been stuck for a bit. Like we
I
all
love
get stuck. And by the way, April, if people haven't read it, I just read the blog about the perfectionist syndrome and I commented and I read, it's fabulous. So if you have not read April's blog
Good.
on that, it's
Well, it's
really,
not
really
my
good.
blog. So it came from Penny Clark. And she was asking, she told me
Okay.
she was a blogger and she said, do you ever accept guest posts? And I said, that would be wonderful. Why don't you go ahead and send me a blog post. So I will accept guest posts. And if you have an idea for a blog, it also is a great way for you to increase your own ranking on Google when you have your blogs, your articles appear on other sites, and referring to you and your author journey, and maybe even your listings on Amazon. So feel free to submit if you've got ideas. But yes, I've been trying to spend a little bit more time with some of the blogging and getting some of the knowledge in my brain out onto the page on topics that I know that authors are interested in. So if you are watching from YouTube, we are just ready to close down this session. We're going to keep going here live with our friends. If you want to jump on with us, you can come on to aprilcox.com/events and participate in this the next section here with us. If you would like to go and check out the blog, go to selfpubmadesimple.com. and you'll see the blog posts and other things there. Join my mailing list. And by the way, if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, we do these live sessions and we also post notifications with lots of videos for authors. So subscribe and share these posts, and we would really appreciate that. Help the channel continue to grow. We are approaching the 10,000 follower mark on YouTube and would really love to keep that growing. And that will help us to create more content and be able to get the support from others like that would provide some kind of sponsorship. So that's where I'm hoping to go with being able to introduce better and more and other content that's high quality content that will continue to be valuable for our subscribers. So thank you again and have a wonderful day. I will just disconnect this for now and we'll move